Hi, I'm Steve Clayton, Head of Growth for Kcom. Today we've got Julian here from PrinSIX to talk about how PrinSIX have helped us at Kcom really innovate our customer journey to connect audiences and residents around not just Hull but the region, from lower affluent demographics to affordable broadband products to help improve their lives and their circumstances.
Thank you. So let me introduce, I'm Julian, I'm Chief Executive of PrinSIX, and let me introduce PrinSIX to you. Could you just click to the first slide? So PrinSIX is a digital transformation platform. It is about creating very rich, very sophisticated, personalised, dynamic customer journeys and digital customer experiences. It has effectively three components, and every single digital experience has three components. It has the customer-facing component, comms, UX, things like that. It has the operational components, workflows, processes, automations, pieces like that, and it has data. Data about the customer, data about individuals, data about anything and everything. And PrinSIX brings all of those things together to create very simple, very easy journeys, experiences for every single customer, tailored for every single customer. And at the heart of this is the fact that we take IT out of digital. We empower the business. If you've got content management systems to manage your websites, then we're a digital management system to manage all of your customer engagement. So it's code-free, and the business can manage every single part of customer engagement and every single customer journey. When we use the word journey, a journey is a process of getting from A to B. That can be purely data, understanding a customer, that can be purely customer, can be operational. It's all about that process of getting somebody from A to B. Press next. So a quick look at just sharing our thoughts in terms of some of the classic challenges of digital. Firstly, which is why our principle of taking it out of the hands of IT, is IT gets in the way. And, anybody here who hasn't got an IT backlog? Anybody who has got an IT team walking around going, please can you give me something to do? I've run out of things to do. They don't. So you've got long backlogs, the process of development is slow, it's expensive, and you have this kind of one size creates one big industrial process that you put everybody through. Data in the business is typically inaccessible, it's typically different, it's incompatible across itself, and it's really quite hard to interpret. So using that insight that sits in the business to drive how you engage a customer becomes really difficult. And from my experience, and before I did PrinSIX, I ran consumer-facing businesses. From my experience, the customer comes second. We'll have all had experiences of where we go, that's not a good customer experience. We know there's a process behind there, business processes driving that. So customers come second in terms of the processes, and operations, you use operations to do workarounds because the system doesn't do it and it's too long to wait for the IT to put this to put it right. So we remove all of that out of the domain of IT and we push it into the hands of the business to own it, and we sit on top of and we orchestrate across all of those back office systems through simple integrations. Okay.
So what did we ask PrinSIX to do? So if you were here this morning and you saw our CEO Tim Shaw talk, you'll have heard about Kcom's full fibre future. And there's three pillars to our full fibre future. One is about ensuring fair access for all. There's one about investing in and expanding our network further, and a third one about upgrading the copper part of our network to fibre. Now, ensuring access for all touches on digital inclusion, and at Kcom we have a product called a social access package. Now that's a normal broadband connection to anyone in here. Historically, it's been an Ofcom request that we have a package called a social access package that is there to provide customers who might be on benefits like universal credit, like job seekers allowance, like carers allowance, access to affordable broadband. We started to ask, with the ambition of ensuring no one's left behind as digital moves forward, how we could use a package which, the name was, in our view, pretty rubbish, as a social access package. How we could use that to start to transform the outcomes for some of the residents across the region by connecting them who typically access the internet through their mobile phones because it allowed them to control when they were going to top up that data allowance, to a full fibre connection, and then take advantage of all the benefits that full fibre connection brings. So we started to look at what I've kind of mapped out here in the wheel, some of the barriers to access and some of the ways that we could start to increase that digital inclusivity using this package. First of all, we renamed it Flex. We didn't want to advertise it as social access anymore. We looked at awareness, and so we engaged with the community hubs around Hull and the region to make sure everyone was aware that we did it. We invested in radio sponsorship and the like. We invest in kind of skills and sessions to train the community on some basic things on how to access the internet. We looked at affordability, and we reduced the price from $19.99 to $14.99. And being a full fibre broadband provider, connectivity kind of comes as standard. The bit that we struggled with was accessibility to the product, and the reason we struggled with it is to access this product, a customer has to be able to show us that they meet those eligibility criteria. And so they might come onto our website, as an example, fill out a form, say, "Oh, I like the sound of this Flex product, and I'd like to buy it." And then they're presented with a question that says, "Can you send us in proof that you have universal credit as your main income type?" And that creates a gap. And so for the likes of Kcom and BT, who were the only two companies until fairly recently that offered this package, everyone in the country had to go through a paper-based process in order to access it. Typically, for those customers, it took around 6 to 8 weeks to do. And naturally, for anyone that's looked at digital journeys and the drop-offs, there was a huge drop-off there. And so all that intent that we had at the beginning for people who wanted to access the product, or for all that intent, only a minority of people were accessing it in the end. So we gave that challenge to PrinSIX, and we asked them, how could you digitize this journey with all the innovation that's going on at the minute through technology in the region, but also in the UK? There must be a way that we can digitize that journey in order to allow people a seamless access to it.
Thank you. Okay, so the brief is test eligibility as quickly and easily as possible, put as few barriers to customers registering. Okay, so let's go through this, and some of this I've touched on. So firstly, technology. So we need to have a minimal dependency on Kcom technology team, otherwise this wouldn't happen. So the only requirement we had of them is to put a link on the website. No other requirement. At the heart of this was the point I was making earlier around analytics and data. How can I get some data as quickly and easily as possible from the customer in order to understand their circumstances? And open banking is becoming ubiquitous, and open banking splits out at a granular level bank transactions, and you can see individual benefit payments. So you can find evidence in their bank statements of whether they're getting qualifying benefits. But if you mandate everybody to do open banking, you will create a barrier for those people who don't trust yet sharing their bank details. So you also want to give them a digital document upload process because it's up to them. So you give them the options. So we gave them those two options. And we automated then the process of eligibility using that data. So no one had to, on open banking, no one has to get involved. The only operational workflow is if you have to look at a statement to check this. We started with the customer. This was all about making it as easy as possible for them to give us what they had to give us, and only ask them for the stuff they needed to give us, not anything more. And from an operational efficiency perspective, we created a process that meant that workflows were very focused and agents only got involved if they had to. They wouldn't get involved in the open banking, they didn't need to. They'd only get involved if they looked at evidence on a bank statement. And then finally, the only piece which we did, which we could technically make more elegant, but goes back to point number one, is the agent then goes into the back office and updates the client account details. That whole going from nothing to an MVP took 2 weeks. So the full solution was in MVP in 2 weeks. It was delivered in 6 weeks. Okay.
So what did we say? We'd taken a journey which was across the UK, a paper-based journey, and we had become the first company in the UK to fully digitise that social access package journey. We saw an immediate outcome in terms of commercial outcome, you could say, in terms of a reduction in operational effort in order to fulfil it. But the best part of it was we saw an immediate increase in uptake of the product. And so today, it launched in April, we've had a 70% increase in the number of customers in the region who were able to access it. Now, that isn't just new customers. So 40% of the increase has come from truly new customers to Kcom from the awareness activity that we've done. But we also see that in our conversations and in our journeys now, whether through the contact centre or purely online, either agents are able to take customers through this journey or people are able to do it themselves. And so we're seeing Kcom customers come to us and say, oh, now I know that you have it, and now you've got a way that we can access it. I want some of that, please. And we're seeing some really good kind of transformational kind of customer outcomes for our retail base. We've had.
I was just going to share with you the best stat to show what the impact on customer experience. When Steve was saying it was 6 to 8 weeks, on day 3, I was very excited that on day 3 there was a lady called Jasmine who lives in Hull, and it took her 4 minutes to get approved for this service. So we've reduced 6 to 8 weeks down to 4 minutes as a customer experience.
Thanks, Julian. If you go back 3 prime ministers, then we've got a quote, which in actual time isn't that long ago, so it's still relevant for this. But recognised by Nadine Dorris. Now, this solution was talked about in number 10. Tim had gone down with all the other leaders of the telco industry. The challenge there was how are you improving access to these products so that during the cost of living crisis, we're improving access to residents across the UK. And as Kcom, we were one of a minority of companies who were able to say, actually, we're leading the way on this. We've already thought about it, which I think is one important point for us at work. But we can already demonstrate how using technology and innovating is actually creating better customer outcomes. So public recognition from the government, industry recognition from shortlisting in a number of awards, and then, I don't know if I'm proud of this, but a positive article in the Mail written about it, and that, I saw it and I thought, where's the catch as I went through it? But it was received very, very well. Received well by Martin Lewis, as well as a number of other publications. What is nice to see when you stand back is how it's being used to challenge the other industry providers though, so how it's being used to challenge the likes of BT. Recently Sky have launched their own social access package, then they were followed by Vodafone. Some of that comes from, you know, the dialogue from Ofcom, but I like to think that some of it also comes from the fact that we've already done it, and so we've disproved any myths that circulate within the industry. And then finally, you know, that's our commercial view, and then we have Fred, who's one of our customers, one of our existing customers, who was made aware through the Hull Daily Mail, very helpfully, of the package and went through the journey. Now, Fred was able to save £20 a month on his broadband bill, and it really brings to home why, you know, it's important to put the customer first and not second, as, you know, I'm sure a lot of us at work feel sometimes that they are, and how you can start creating better outcomes for people. So now Fred Simmons, 70, a retired truck driver, is able to get some more shopping in and is able to go see his family or his daughter in Nottingham. And that's why we do it. Thank you very much.